Welcome to Season 2 of Red Sox Digest, the only show where pain, sarcasm, and false hope collide nightly, like a Masataka Yoshida ground out to second. We break down every loss, every meltdown, and the occasional win, with sarcasm, facts, and no front office spin. Subscribe today at RedSoxDigest.com, or keep wondering how a wildcard team spent an entire offseason avoiding power hitters. And now, here's the crew at Red Sox Digest.
Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Red Sox Digest. I am your host tonight, Jim Dalfino. That's right, I'm a man who spent most of June treating every Red Sox game like an IRS audit and is now walking around after 13 straight victories like I discovered baseball. 13 in a row. I've gone from demanding Craig Breslow's immediate removal to wondering whether we should rename Tobin Bridge after him. That's being a rational Red Sox fan. You don't gradually reconsider your opinion. You grab the steering wheel, yank it across 4 lanes, smash through a fruit stand, and announce that this was always the plan. And somewhere in New York, Yankees fans are watching this winning streak while nervously adjusting their Aaron Judge pajamas. Beautiful, just beautiful. Joining me tonight is Nick Face, who spent the entire 13-game winning streak arguing with people who aren't celebrating hard enough. Nick can turn a 10-0 victory into a 6-hour courtroom proceeding because someone on Twitter said, good win, but let's not get carried away. Too late, pal. Nick is already carried away. He's in the back of the Empower van, shirtless, swinging from a folding chair, and anyone who mentioned run differential. Joining me tonight is John Martinello, the man who believed in this team when the rest of us were pricing industrial catapults large enough to launch the entire front office into Rhode Island. John kept saying they're better than their record. We thought he was optimistic. We thought he was loyal. Frankly, we thought he had suffered a mild head injury. But John was right. And now he sits here with that smug little smile like a guy who bought Bitcoin in 2012 and brings it up every Thanksgiving. Finally joining us tonight is Thayer Doyle, educator, Irishman, family man, and the only person capable of watching Boston sweep 4 games from the first place Rays and respond, yes, but Romy Gonzalez's cutoff throw today really needs work. The Rays were beaten, folded, boxed, labeled, and shipped back to Tampa like a defective air fryer. Let the cutoff positioning go for one evening, and let's get into it. Your Boston Red Sox are now 50-48, winners of 13 consecutive games after completing a 4-game sweep of the Tampa Bay Rays at Fenway Park. Boston won the series by scores of 10-0, 5-3, 7-6, and today 6-1. That's a combined score of 28-10. 28-10. The Rays came into Boston leading the American League East and left looking like they had been mugged behind a seafood restaurant. This wasn't a sweep. This was 4 consecutive episodes of unsolved mysteries, except everyone knew exactly what happened. Tampa Bay walked into Fenway, and the Red Sox beat them with every loose piece of furniture in the building. Friday afternoon began with a 10-0 execution. Boston collected 15 hits, while rookie Jake Bennett allowed just 1 hit over 6 shutout innings. Masataka Yoshida, Carlos Narvaez, and Caleb Durbin each had 3 hits. Tampa Bay managed 3 hits as a team, which is barely enough offense to qualify for a box score. Then, Boston won the second game of Friday's doubleheader 5-3. Willier Abreu homered twice. Wilson Contreras also went deep, and after the starting pitcher lasted only 2 1/3 innings, 6 Red Sox relievers combined to throw 6 2/3 scoreless innings. 6 relievers, folks. Usually, using 6 Red Sox relievers is like opening 6 mystery containers from the back of your refrigerator. You know at least 2 of them are going to explode. Instead, everybody did his job. Nobody walked 3 consecutive hitters. Nobody threw a baseball into a camera well. Nobody turned a 2-run lead into a municipal emergency. That victory gave Boston 11 straight wins and brought the team to 500 for the first time since opening day. It was also Boston's first 11-game winning streak since 2016. Saturday was the true Red Sox fan stress test. Boston trailed 6-3, and for a moment, that old feeling returned. You know the feeling, your shoulders tighten, your left eye begins to twitch, and you start blaming a relief pitcher who hasn't even entered the game yet. And then the 7th inning happened. Masataka Yoshida drove in a run. Ceddanne Rafaela delivered a 2-out RBI double, and Willier Abreu hit his second home run of the game, a go-ahead 2-run shot that completed a 4-1 rally. Abreu hit 4 home runs in 2 games. Count them, folks, 4. The Rays kept pitching to him like a guy repeatedly touching a hot stove because maybe the 6th burn will feel different. Boston won 7-6, and Aroldis Chapman entered for his 21st save after putting 2 runners on base in the 9th. Chapman never simply enters a baseball game. That would be too considerate. He loosens the lug nuts, turns off the headlights, accelerates towards a cliff, and then pulls the emergency brake about 6 inches before everyone dies. Then came Sunday, a chance for 13 wins, a chance to finish the 4-game sweep, a chance for the Red Sox to take all the tension, drama, and stress from Saturday and throw it directly into Tampa Bay's luggage. Boston won 6-1. No 9th inning hostage crisis, no bullpen flamethrower accidentally aimed at the curtains, no 3-era circus featuring a first baseman, a catcher, and 1 confused tourist from Quincy. Just a clean, convincing victory. Across all 4 games, Boston scored 28 runs, allowed only 10, won a shutout, survived the bullpen game, completed a 3-run comeback, and then finished the sweep with a 5-run victory. That is every possible kind of win. They beat Tampa with pitching. They beat Tampa with power. They beat Tampa with the bullpen. They beat Tampa from ahead, from behind, during the day, at night, and twice on Friday, just in case the Rays didn't understand the first beating. The Red Sox now have won 13 consecutive games, surpassing their 12-game run from 2006 and their longest winning streak this century. And now, Craig Breslow has nowhere left to hide. You cannot watch this team win 13 straight and then approach that trade deadline like you're comparison shopping for generic paper towels. Buy, get another starting pitcher, add bullpen help, strengthen a bench, do whatever. Bring in someone who can help this team in October. And don't give us some 27-year-old utility player with a .214 average, 3 defensive positions, and an exciting underlying contact profile. I don't want an underlying profile. I want a grown man who can hit a hanging slider into a parking garage. The Red Sox has officially changed the conversation. A few weeks ago, we were asking whether the season was over. Now we're asking whether they can catch Tampa Bay. So here's the question for all you Sox fans. Was this 4-game sweep the moment the Red Sox became legitimate division contenders? And after 13 straight victories, does Craig Breslow now have an obligation to make a major trade? The entire time after the All-Star game, we talked that the Red Sox needed to make a statement coming into the second half. They needed to not fold like a chair, because sneaking into the final wildcard spot no longer feels like a dream. It feels like the floor. That's it. I'm done. It's time for the word of the day.
And now it's time for Nick Face's Word of the Day!
There's no other word that you can describe what's happening with the Red Sox than stunning. None of us had this coming. 13 games winning streak. It's the longest winning streak, folks, since 1948, back in the Ted Williams era, the Johnny Pesky era, the Bobby Doerr era, all that. This is unheard of on how this team has turned this season around. Sometimes I feel like I'm watching the 2012 Red Sox, and other times I felt like in the past week I'm watching the 2013 Red Sox. I think we need to look back at when the whole thing happened with Venezuela, with the earthquakes and everything that really shook up your players of Wilson Contreras and Willier Abreu, that crowd. Because for some reason, I think something just clicked with this team that says, this is devastating. This is awful. Let's rally around these guys. Let's figure this out. Let's become a family, and let's be a team and win ball games. I can't look at anything else outside of that whole effect that happened with the whole thing with Venezuela. And it just feels like this team became united at that front. To me, that's just where it seemed to click. They have started to play baseball with passion, with a spark, with a will to win attitude. These guys were lost lost in space. We had them all as, can they even get 60, 65, 70 wins this season? Now, you're looking at a playoff team. That's how drastic things have changed for this team. That was one spark for me, at least, that helped define the season. But I think there's other things that you look at too. The addition of Anthony Siegler has been gigantic for this team. They lost Marcelo Mayer. They lost IKF. They were searching to try to figure out what the heck they're going to do. So Craig Breslow gave this guy a try. I know it wasn't a great game yesterday, but that's just one game. Outside of the fact, I think Anthony Siegler has just been an absolute spark plug for this team. He's a guy that wants to prove that he can be in the big leagues. Another one that got called up was Chang. We all laughed. Oh, look at this. Another one from Worcester. Here it comes. What's he going to do? He's been nothing but steady. He's been nothing but a ball player, a guy that wants to prove that he can be here. And it's kind of ironic that I'm hitting on those players there, because down goes Marcelo Mayer, down goes Trevor Story. I don't want to speak for the rest of the guys, but for me, I don't want to see Trevor Story again. I don't want to see Marcelo Mayer anymore. The only place I want to see Marcelo Mayer truly is in Worcester, figuring out how to actually stay on a baseball field and how to hit a baseball as well. I don't have any issues with him with the glove. I have issues with just durability, fundamentals, how to play the game the right way. Let him, whenever he wants to come back, put him down there. Just figure it out from down there. I know Jim's putting up Chang's numbers right there, but 33 at-bats, and he's got over a 300 average, 5 RBIs, a 701 OPS. It's unbelievable. I don't even know if I want IKF back. I don't even know if I want to see Nick Sogar. I don't think I want to. Why would we want to interrupt what's going on with this team right now? I feel like you have to be very careful right now, guys, with what additions and subtractions that you make here with this team. I'm nervous to break this up, because whatever they're doing, catching lightning in a bottle, has just been incredible. I don't think that I have seen, from watching baseball for as young as 3 or 4 years old for myself, I don't think I've seen such a turnaround ever, from being a fan and being somebody who's always been passionate and always caring about the Red Sox. It sucks when they lose. It's awful when they're not playing up their potential. We didn't think they had any potential. Am I here to say playoffs, here we come? No. We still have lots of season left. We have to see how the pitching holds up. Thayer's biggest thing that he's talked about is these kids figuring out innings. I mean, Jake Bennett is already at almost 90 innings. That's what he's thrown throughout his career. How much longer can you extend him? Same goes with Peyton Tolley. How many bullets does he still have left in the arm? We're supposedly getting Conley Early back shortly. Things are looking good on the arm front there. How much does he have left? And then you have the big mystery of what's going on with Garrett Crochet. Still undecided on what's going on that front. I look at a late August, September return, if that. We could definitely use him if we're still in the hunt, and I think we're going to be in the hunt. So those are things that you got to think about as well. Now today, Sonny Gray was not the sharpest bulb on the face of the earth. But boy, did he gut it out. He had the fastball command, but it was the cutter and the off-speed stuff that was just a little bit not crisp out there. But God, is he a competitor? Is he a figure-it-out kind of guy that just take that ball and gut it out? And this guy has the potential to be your AL Cy Young. That is just truly extraordinary. None of us expected that. So there's nothing really to complain about. I mean, I guess I can complain about Roman Anthony, because the guy is as fragile as a glass. because he still can't figure out what to do there. But I don't want to go on that front. I don't want to go on that. I want to go positive just with how things have just drastically turned around to us talking about adding for this team and figuring out what's next. I love the ability that I actually want to watch the Red Sox right now instead of, do I have to watch this game tonight? I want to watch. I want to see what's going on. I want to listen. I want to figure out what they're going to do. It's been fun. Really fun. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, a lot of great points. A couple things that you mentioned that I kind of want to just circle back to. First of all, about, this team, the Boston Red Sox, it's a lot more fun to talk about them when they're winning than when they're losing. And it amazes me. I put one nice comment about the Red Sox, and of course I got to get some chatter on there like, yes, it kind of goes against your team for the last 3 weeks. No, we want to see the team win. We want them to do well. It's a lot more fun talking about them when they're winning than the same old shit when they're losing every night, because they're winning by different ways. If you listen to my monologue, they're winning with hitting, they're winning with power, they're winning with pitching. They're doing some, fundamental stuff for the most part. That was number one that you mentioned. Number two, I don't want some of those guys back either. I don't want to see Trevor Story again.
No,
I don't honestly, I don't even want Roman Anthony back. And I know that's going to get some heat too, but you know what? I'm starting to disbelieve in Roman Anthony. He hasn't even picked up a bat yet, and he's in Fort Myers. Sonny Gray for Cy Young. He's also setting example for a lot of these other players too. And the last thing I'll mention before we go to John is, if you told me on opening day that by July 19th, Garrett Crochet would be on the disabled list, or IL, excuse me. So would Suarez. So would Early. So would Roman Anthony. And you'd be 2 games over 500 and in a playoff spot. I'd say you're out of your mind. Totally out of your mind. So,
ditto on that for me too. It's absolutely stunning. Stunned.
Nick Face is sponsored by, the word of the day is sponsored by the Tampa Bay Pest Control. Got a raise infection in your ballpark? No problem. Our trained professionals remove stubborn rays quickly, safely, and over the course of 4 humiliating appointments. We bundle everything from weak offense and collapsing bullpens to pitchers who keep throwing baseballs directly at Willier Abreu's happy zone. Tampa Bay Pest Control. When the Rays show up, we make sure they don't stay long. And now we're going to move on to the Martinello Minute.
And now the part they don't want said out loud. No spreadsheets or corporate spin, just the truth, raw and impatient. This is the Martinello Minute.
So throughout the season, I've been my Martinello Minute has more been like the Martinello 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But today, it's all positive vibes. I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible. 13 straight. Just let that sink in. 13 straight wins. The second longest winning streak in the history of a franchise that's existed for over 100 years. You go this series 10-0, 5-3, 7-6, 6-1. You just beat the best team in the American League. You go back throughout these last 20 games, you're 11-0 against the 3 best teams in the American League. This last 20 games, they're 18-2. Before this stretch for the entire season, their best 20-game stretch was 10-10. June 22nd, Red Sox had an 8.4% chance of making the playoffs. Today, that number is at 58.9%. You're currently 4 games back of the Yankees, pending, could be 3.5, could be 4.5 in about an hour and a half, depending on if they get swept by the Dodgers or not. A couple weeks ago, you were 11, 12 games back of the Yankees. I think in this 20-game stretch, you've gained 11 games on them. Unbelievable what we're watching right now. And again, Jim just mentioned it. You're doing this all without your 2 best players. So enjoy it, have fun with it, run with it. This isn't normal. It doesn't happen. What was it? It was 1948, the last time this team went on a 13-game win streak. I saw a tweet earlier that was, I think it was like 8 months or 8 years or something like that before Carl Yastrzemski was born. That was when Ted Williams was playing for the Red Sox. Just absolutely unbelievable what we're watching right now. But listen, after the game, Sonny Gray, Nick, you talked about it, how he didn't really have it today. He didn't. Yeah, when he had a bunker down, he absolutely did. I think it was 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. They stranded 7 runners. But listen, once he got that lead, he's a Cy Young candidate. He's been in this league for a really long time. He knows when it's time to go, it's time to go. First 3 innings today, he threw 56 pitches. The last 3 innings, he threw 35. His last inning in the 6th was the hardest he threw the entire game. This team, there's just something contagious about this team right now that all 26 guys that are there every single day are just running with. So, this group shows up expecting to win, and now it's happening. 13 games in a row. Pretty good. Pretty cool.
I think Sonny Gray is a better version of what Jake Peavy was in 2013. I'm going to make that loud and clear statement right now.
Yeah, it's a good comp right there. Some great stuff from John. The Martinello Minute is brought to you by Rose-Colored Windshield Repair. Did you spend the first half of the season insisting the Red Sox were better than they looked? Were friends, family, and licensed medical professionals concerned about your judgment? Rose-Colored Windshield Repair will replace the cracked glass with a crystal view of 13 straight victories. Now people like John can finally see the road, and unfortunately, he was right the entire time. Rose-Colored Windshield Repair. Optimism so strong, it eventually becomes evidence. And now it's going to be time for the third strike.
And now it's time for the third strike with Thayer.
When we last spoke, the question was posed, what is it going to take for these guys to really believe, to make me believe? And I said they had to be able to score. They had to show offense. And that is what they've done. What Jim said is absolutely true. They outscored these guys. They put runs on the board. Other than the first game, they were trailing in all 3 games. In the first 2 months of the year, that was absolute death. Heck, in the third game, we were trailing by 2 runs and then 3 runs. Statistically, that was you have lost this game 100% of the time. Yet they came back. What has been the difference? I think to Nick's point, I totally agree. You mentioned 2013. This team feels like 2013. The same thing occurred there. That team sort of built off of the Boston bombing during the marathon, and they sort of built off of that. And the tragedy in Venezuela, I think that is having an impact on this. We've talked a little bit about Contreras all year long, sort of being a loose cannon. Is he really a leader? Perhaps he is. This team is clearly sort of gravitating around him. Abreu is the same way. Narvaez, they're all doing the same thing. We even saw during when that last homestand, even Sonny Gray was out there trying to raise money. I think they sort of have formed a bond, which I think is a very important thing. So that is having an impact. We've talked a little bit about this last year and this year. This is a young team that works on emotion. And that's why they've been so inconsistent, because they've been so emotional, positively and negatively. 13 games in a row is absolutely insane, and they're working off that emotion. I need them to continue it. Are they going to be capable of it? That's going to be the big question, and that's where getting into Jim's initial conversation was, this all falls on Breslow now. The team has done what we've all asked them to do. Show us that they are capable. They have gotten back into the wild card hunt, and like we've been talking about, they're closing in on the Yankees. So what happens next? Do I think their pitching is going to sustain itself? I don't think the kids are going to be able to do it. I think there's going to be an innings limit, and there's going to be issues. So that, yes, I think they need to add starting pitching, because Crochet is going to come back, but how soon is he going to come back? We need Suarez back. We're seeing an issue with Chapman out of the bullpen. He's not the same guy he was last year. He's sort of reverting back to a little bit of wildness, and his saves are no longer absolute money. Now they're taking a walk on the wild side. Whitlock is doing wonderfully. I think they need to add a pitcher to that bullpen. Like we've been talking about, it's incredible that they have lost, shall we say, talent. No Anthony. Mayer is a talented ball player no matter what you say about him. Story is a talented ball player no matter what you say about him. But without those guys, they brought up kids that are playing with emotion and that they are actually learning how to play the game appropriately. We talked about all these things. What are they doing this sort of winning streak, especially this series that's been different than before? They're not striking out. They struck out 8 times in the first game, 6 times in the second game. They struck out 7 times in the third game and 8 times today. Under 10 is impressive for this group of team. And we saw it today. Just putting the ball in play by Durbin got us a run because it puts pressure on the defense. They're starting to make more of those fundamental plays. The inside the park home run was that was something that felt like it was happening quite a bit. And yes, Sedon probably misplayed a little bit, dropped, but again, they came back from that. I'm a little nervous that we had 2 errors in the middle 2 games. They need to stay focused with that, but we're not seeing the stupid base running. Although, again, Duran had a little bit of an issue today. It never fails. He is an incredible athlete, but a stupid baseball player. But he's part of the winning, so we'll leave it at that.
In spite of.
Yes. Am I going to say I don't know where to go from here. I think it is in Breslow's court. He has to do something. If he doesn't do anything this sort of trade deadline to make the big move, then I think that tells us all we need to know about what this Red Sox team is going to be. And again, we've talked in the last couple of years, they get going towards the break and nothing happens, and then they sort of fall off. If it happens again, then it's entirely shame on Breslow, shame on Henry. And as Red Sox fans, that's what we should expect moving forward, because this team has done enough to make themselves contenders, and they should be rewarded for that. And the fans should be rewarded for that.
Yeah, a lot of great points with that there. I had said that at one point when they were winning 4, 5, 6 in a row, I says, I want them to just run with this for the rest of July and force Breslow's hand, because we've seen this with Chaim Bloom. We've seen it with Breslow too, where it was, if the team does what it needs to be and in a spot where you should add, and you start doing this hybrid of adding and subtracting at the same time, it's not good enough. And if the team is in shouting distance of a wild card spot or currently having one in the next 2 weeks, it's an absolute malpractice for him not to get some sort of impact bat, another pitcher or whatnot, because I think we're all worried about how this pitching staff is going to hold up, let alone holding up versus the load management. I mean, Sandoval coming back was great in the first game, not so much in the second one. And so you have to be concerned there too. We'll see how it plays out.
Can I say something on the Patrick Sandoval front?
Sure, go ahead.
I would rather see Brian Bayo get another opportunity. Did I just say that?
To start?
I don't know, but the third. I don't know, but the
Did
third
I just say that?
The third strike is brought to you by Rays Emergency Checkout Services. When your team has lost 4 straight games at Fenway and you need to leave town before anyone notices, call Rays Emergency Checkout Services. We pack your bags, cancel your dinner reservations, and drive you directly to Logan Airport before Willier Abreu hits another home run. Our premium package includes dark sunglasses, fake mustaches, and a complimentary bag to place over your head. Rays Emergency Checkout Services, because after a 4-game sweep, checkout time was yesterday. So I don't have any specific talking points, scheduled for today, outside of the fact is we're going to go into pitching probables right away because I think, again, the biggest talking point for the Red Sox is, can this be sustainable and can we keep going? So starting tomorrow, we have a 3-game series against the Orioles. And just to kind of remind everybody where we are in the standings, we are now flip-flop with the Orioles. We're 2 ahead of them. The Orioles currently are 49-51, so they have a losing record. And from what I was able to deduce right now, we got a 7:10 p.m. start tomorrow, Tolley versus Boz on Tuesday. I guess it's a to be determined. I don't know if anybody has an update on that against Bradish. And Wednesday, also 7:10 p.m., Bennett against Kramer. Do we know anything about who's starting on Tuesday yet?
That Tuesday looks like it's going to be one of those Eduardo Rivera into Brian Bayo starts.
Okay. So with that being said, Thayer, I'll start with you. What is your prediction for this series?
My prediction now is they must win the series. They need to take 2 out of 3. What concerns me is Tolley. And I don't mean Tolley not pitching well. I mean Tolley going 5 innings. We just had 4 for the most part, very strenuous games. And we blew a lot of our pitching, especially the bullpen. We had a bullpen game in this whole situation. We need Tolley to go 6-7 innings. He can't go 5. He needs to go longer because on Tuesday, who knows? I think you're going to see Bayo. And this is going to be another important thing. I know we had this conversation. I had a conversation with Tom. Bayo cannot start a game. He just cannot do it. So if they are bringing him up, it is the responsibility of management and the coaching staff to do something about that. Have somebody else pitch that first inning. I know it is who he is. And if they don't do it, that's a failure on their part. And then going to Bennett, I have faith in him. And Kramer, I think we're going to be able to hit. The question is, throughout this whole situation, I hope they do not become homer happy. They have to remain, in the zone, putting the bat on the ball and making things happen. But I say they're going to take 2 out of 3.
Nick, your prediction for the Orioles series?
I want to say 2 out of 3 to be safe, but I also feel like I want to press my luck here. And I want to say I want to go for a sweep, Red Sox. I feel like the momentum is all in their favor right now. I think they're riding high. I think the Orioles are not a very good team, plain and simple. And I think that the Red Sox can take care of business against them. I think Tolley can build off of the momentum that we've just faced back at home and shove tomorrow night. I see the Red Sox taking care of Boz very well. I don't have any concerns on that. I don't have any concerns with Bradish either. I mean, let's look at it this way. The Tampa Bay Rays are a far superior team than the Orioles. So if you lose a game in the series, am I going to be mad? No. But if you lose 2, that's unacceptable. At least on the way things are right now. You bare minimum have to take 2 out of 3. But I want to go for the sweep. I really do. I think that they can do it.
John?
And Bayo will actually pitch well on Tuesday night.
John, your predictions for the series?
Yeah, so listen, I'm here for the ride. Keep the good times rolling. I'm going to go with the sweep. Give me the franchise record. Give me 16 games in a row. Why not? But with that being said, Orioles are also on their hottest streak of the year. They've won their last 6 straight. Shane Baz, former Ray, he's pitched well against the Red Sox in his career. Kyle Bradish starting to turn it on as of late. His last start, 6 2/3 with 1 run given up. Hasn't had really the strikeout stuff that we're used to with him this year, but he's still been, at least in his last 7 starts. It's a 3.86 ERA, so he's been fine. And then Dean Kramer, they should cream, no pun intended. But so I'm going to go with the sweep. But I think it's going to be a very competitive series. I think it's going to be just like this one that we just had. It's going to be a dogfight, but I'm not saying these guys are going to lose a game until they prove that they can lose a game. So 3 out of 3.
So for me, just looking back at revisionist history, in the end of April, 24, 25, 26, the Red Sox had a 3-game series against Baltimore. They had just gotten swept by New York. They lost the first game at Baltimore, and they fell to 9-17 on the season. Brian Bale took the loss. They did win the next 2, so they took 2 out of 3 from Baltimore at probably one of the worst times all season. However, they did face Baltimore again in June at home, and they lost 2 out of 3. They only had 1 win. Peyton Tolley got the win in that game, but they lost some scores of 4-2 and 8-2. Of course, again, Bayo was involved in that. So I'd be very wary if I'm Chad Tracy and company to have Bayo in that game against Baltimore, because he hasn't done very well this season against them. So they may want to consider that. But having said that, having said where they are and the electricity that's been going around this team and how Wilson Contreras has been just absolutely on fire and, has really gotten the team, the players. It was great seeing him, raise his hand to the fans to get involved. He knows what needs to be done. I struggle with him because sometimes I think he's a clown, but sometimes I do like his intensity. And so that's what this team needs right now. So I'm going to go 2 out of 3 with a possibility of a sweep. The sweep will happen as long as the Red Sox don't do something stupid. Like, for example, today, an inside the park home run. If something dumb like that happens again, that's what concerns me and worries me on that. But if they can avoid something stupid from happening, balls thrown away, whatever it is, extra outs, then I think they can manage. So we'll see how that goes. I want to get into comments. We got quite a few here. Let's see if we got some good stuff, and we'll go through them all. To start, JP Finch says hi. He says he's first. You are. Please shout me out. Shout out to JP Finch. Thanks for watching and listening. Moving right along. Mick Rack says, I'm still trying to figure out how this is happening. You know what? Your guess is as good as mine. Like I said, if you removed your ace and your best offensive player out of the lineup all season, basically, and had the injuries that they did, and still where you're at, 2 games over 500, you'd probably have to, have your head examined if you thought that was going to happen. Fundamentals have improved. They have. Defense has been good. That's probably one of their biggest improvements over the last couple seasons for sure. Couple comments from our side. Guys, how is this happening? John, how is this happening, John?
It's a different team. We mentioned it on the last show. We talked about, there's a couple faces missing and there's a couple new faces in here that have really just, they want to be here. They want to prove themselves.
There's a Nick face too
to play baseball. It's all it is just the want to win, and I guess they're just not okay with losing. And like you go back a month and you had that Sonny Gray interview where he talked about that he was okay with being moved. He said that they weren't a good baseball team, and they weren't. And then, you bring in a couple faces and guys that want to win baseball games, and they, the guys at Nesson asked him today after the game, like you said last month that you weren't. And he was like, yeah, we were not a good baseball team, but now just they've come close. It's on them at the end of the day. Craig Breslow isn't going to pitch in, he's not going to come in the 6th inning for you anymore. It's not 2013. You're not going to have, Alex Cora obviously isn't here anymore, but he's not going to go out and play second base for you in the middle of the game. Like, it's on the players. So the players bunkered down and they decided, something has to change, and they've just been playing free, fun baseball for the past 3 weeks now. And, that's the best way I could describe it.
Matt also says he couldn't be happier. Matt also says, I don't want Mayer back, though. He absolutely needs to go. Bad for the locker room. Nick, I'll ask you this question. Are you afraid that the Red Sox, when Trevor Story is healthy and Mayer is healthy, let's assume that they are. I know you brought this up in your word of the day, but I'm afraid that the Red Sox might bring these guys back into the 26-man roster. Are you?
Yep, I sure am. More so Story than Marcelo Mayer. I don't think we'll see Marcelo Mayer again this season. I don't. I think that ship has sailed. I think that they've said, see you in spring training, if that. Then there may be a deal, and I don't want to deal him. The reason I don't want to deal Marcelo Mayer is because his value is at its lowest point right now. You're not going to get anything in return out of that. So you need to see him spring training, come in like a banshee and be hot as a pistol, and hopefully somebody wants him. That's the only thing that I can think of. Or off season, if he's really doing a lot of hard work to get himself healthy and get himself into a better system of play, then that's when you do it. I don't think you trade him right now, guys. I just don't. Same goes with Roman Anthony. If a team called and wanted him, I don't think you're going to get what you want. I really don't.
But I guess my question is that can you still build on some sort of hope with Marcelo Mayer? I honestly think you need to cut bait with him. I don't think he's going to be the offensive player that the Red Sox thought they were drafting. And I also have concerns with him being too buddy-buddy with Anthony. You saw ever since those two have been split up, and ever since Myers been on the IL, and Anthony's been sent to Fort Myers, this is a different team. The chemistry is different too. You can see it. Fellas,
I'm in the same predicament with it. I don't think those two can exist on the same roster. I don't.
Yeah. That's exactly what I have concerns about. And, if we can see it, hopefully management can see it. Jules says, how long can this last? I mean, look, you potentially could sweep the Baltimore Orioles. You've got a 3-game series against Toronto. They've had an up and down season. And then you've got 4 against the Athletics. And then that takes you almost to the end of the month. You've got 1 game in July with LA. I mean, could you have
series? Yeah.
Could you have losses on the back end and every other game in July be a win? How cool would that be? That would be really, really a different situation. Jules says, leave it till we lose, then see how we respond. And of course, one of us wrote back, that's the $10,000. Sure is. PF Chang's has been a revelation too. It's just insane how these nobodies have changed this season. I'm not a fan of nobodies. I've said it a million times. I like the impact players. I just think there's a track record there that you have with most of these guys, but you can't argue with the fact that these guys are making contact, and that's what Thayer brought up. The strikeouts are down. You're not seeing 16 strikeouts in a game like you were in April and May. I mean, it was really getting terrible at that point. Jules says Duran should be a definite replace for Massa late in a game. Listen, I'm not a Duran fan. I never have been. I have a trade idea: Mayer, Duran, and early for Tatis. Guys, what do you think about that? Thayer, I'll start with you.
I'm down with that move. Like I said in the thing, I don't know if I would trade early. I might trade Tolley instead. I like early. I think early is going to be a professional. If I'm going to compare the two of them, early, and I know this is sacrilege, kind of gives me an Andy Pettitte kind of vibe. He's a professional. He knows what he's doing. He's got nothing but sort of swagger on the mound, and he's composed. Tolley is Jabba Chamberlain. That's who I feel Tolley is. He's a guy that lives off that momentum, comes in, throws heat, and I don't know if he's ever going to be the starter. I think he might be a bullpen guy. And this is just me. I would lean more towards keeping early and trade Tolley and Duran for Tatis.
See, I worry about giving up too much for Tatis. And again, Matt, the issue here is what's the money look like? You know, are they eating all the money and you're giving them Mayer, Duran, and early? Are we eating half? You know, that's some of the unanswered questions there, because if this was Fernando Tatis of a couple years ago, I would do this. But I'm not seeing a 40 home run guy anymore, and that scares the ever-loving bejesus out of me.
I have more on my wish list for the Padres than that move. I would do this deal. I also would do Tolley over early. I'm in the same camp with it. I'm very much interested in Mason Miller with Xander Bogaerts packaged together. That's what I want.
I was just going
to take the money.
Yep. I was just going to introduce that to you. I was going to say, would you do a trade where we get Mason Miller and we have to take on Bogaerts' contract?
Make a super bullpen out of it, and I'll welcome Xander Bogaerts back with open arms, because you already know that that's a character guy who played here. He's done that. It would make the team so much better with another leader of sorts. That guys that's been there, done that, knows the system, knows the franchise, knows the fan base. I think Xander's career would turn around coming back home. Truly, 100%.
Let me ask all three of you this question. So if you get Miller and Bogaerts, what are you giving up? Thayer, start with you.
I give up a couple of the young pitchers that we have. I would send my Mayer, and I'd send Tolley.
Nick?
I absolutely do the same thing.
John?
Mayer, Bennett, and then you dig into one of the, like, Witherspoon, maybe. And you know, on top of all that, if you know, who cares? I got grilled for a hypothetical trade on Twitter the other day, so I don't want to get too deep into what I'd give up here. But if you were to make a trade, whatever it may be, for Mason Miller and Xander Bogaerts, that also makes the pill of getting rid of Aroldis Chapman a lot easier to swallow. You're almost forced to do that afterwards. So, like, I think it would be a home run for.
It's almost like planning ahead a little bit. Don't you guys think so? Like, plan ahead.
You have to do that, Nick. You have to look at.
I think so too.
Yeah, you have to look at not just the year. This is why I was saying when we were talking about the CJ Abrams and the James Wood trade, I said you have to look at the future, not just this season. So my trade, I would have Mayer in that trade because San Diego's going to need a shortstop. Okay. I would probably have Witherspoon in there because you don't know what he's going to be anyway, and it would be intriguing to San Diego. And maybe I'd throw Justin Slayton in there. I don't know. If I'm getting Miller back and I have Whitlock, Chapman, and Miller in the end of that, I don't know. Or maybe you don't put Slayton in there, and now you get Mason Miller, and it allows you, like John said, to trade Chapman for a bat somewhere. I mean, that's a possibility too. But, yeah, you could definitely
it's
make
interesting that none of us also said Franklin Arias on this on anything.
Yeah.
Oh, is he a keeper? Are we keeping him?
Yeah, because you know what
for this deal, yeah.
Yeah, so you know what 2020 here's what 2027 might look like if there's a season. You'd put Durbin at second, you'd put Bogaerts at short. You could have Arias at short and Xander at third, or vice versa. But you would have some flexibility there if you keep Arias. Yeah. So Michael says the Red Sox have played themselves into playoff contention, but they have to play at least 600 level ball to keep it.
They have to play 500 ball to keep it.
They got to pay. They got to play 520 ball. I guess. Yeah. You know, that's what. That's.
I think Fangraph says that for the Red Sox projections wise, to make the playoffs, I think they said they have to play like 511 ball the rest of the way.
Sure. Okay, I'm close, but I mean,
I think that's reasonable. I just do.
All right, let me ask you guys this. John, I'll start with you. What's it going to take to win the third wild card? How many games?
Probably 84 to 85, 83 to 85, something like that.
Yeah, I'm at 85. Nick?
Yeah, I'm at 84. I'm right in the same ballpark.
Fair.
I'd agree. 84, 85.
Yeah, I'm at 85, so we'll see how it goes.
The rest of the league, the American League is just not good. I mean, this is an opportunity that the Red Sox they're relishing on because you just beat the White Sox, you beat the Yankees, you beat the Rays. Those are some of the cream of the crops of the league right now, and you did that. So It's not a fairy tale anymore.
Okay, so we have 50 wins. You got 64 left, 85. You need 35. I said 64. So 35 and 29.
Wow.
That would get you 85.
Seems pretty reasonable now.
Does now.
Yeah.
35 and 29 is what you need to be to get 85.
It's crazy. To get to 90 wins, they have to win 62% of the remaining games, which doesn't, after this doesn't seem as far-fetched as it might have 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, this wasn't. I would laugh at you, John.
We were talking about 70 wins. 75 seems like a stretch.
I was laughing at you.
Matt wants to keep Gray and Chapman. You have to keep Gray. We have too many injuries right now.
Yeah.
And plus, why would you want to trade a guy that's in the conversation for the Cy Young? I mean, that's just
you're trading Sonny Gray. You get a diamond back.
If you're trading Sonny Gray, you have to get an absolute stud. Like James Wood has to be in that conversation. I mean, Mizorowski's got to be in that conversation.
I don't think he's available.
You know what I'm saying? Seriously, you have to have Paul Skeens has to be in that conversation. Seriously, I mean, him and
why the hell not? Put Shohei Ohtani in there. Put Mookie Betts. Put them all in. That's fine by me.
No more alcoholic romance for Anthony. Yeah, I mean, listen, he's Roman who I love it. It's been a train wreck with him. Durant has been playing pretty good lately.
Stop it!
Stop
it, Chisholm.
Yeah, he's
hit the ball real hard.
Look, Durant is the one guy. Durant is the one everyday player right now on this team that I think if he was gone, I don't know if you'd miss him. I don't know if you'd skip a beat. I really don't. Pitching for sure. 2 runs allowed on average per game during this 13 streak. Jules says minute by minute. It's a comment from us. Matt says, how about Abreu, fellows? Holy crap, give him a contract immediately. Why do the Red Sox not want to extend Willier Abreu, Thayer?
Because he's not consistent enough. He has been, for the extent of his career, a very, very streaky hitter. We'll see, 4 home runs in 2 days. He'll have weeks where he can just carry the team, and then he'll have weeks where he kind of just disappears. So until he proves he can be an everyday consistent player, then I don't say you do not sort of give him the money. Prove that he can do it. He's starting to prove that he can hit left-handers. I want to see months of consistency. I don't need him to be, 2 home runs every couple days, but I need him to put good at-bats on the ball. I need him to not be striking out, because we've talked about this in previous years where there goes times when, you can go a week and see him striking out at least once or twice a game. And that has to stop.
So you want him to be more consistent before you're going to give him a paycheck. But what about Ceddanne Rafaela? What about –
They're stupid.
Okay, that's true. Okay,
They're stupid. They gave them money too soon. Now Rafaela's playing into it, but again, this is the issue with the Red Sox front office. When we talk about other teams that are doing it, now I know the one that you can sort of look at with the Rays was Franco, and he was a personality issue, but as a player, he was a dominant, consistent player for 2 years, and they paid him the money. You saw them do it Longoria. Teams that are able to actually evaluate their talent and understand what they have, pay those players, and they produce. The Red Sox are not, and they're not paying these guys, which is why you pay Bello, which is why you play Rafaela before you had to. That's the issue. I'm all for paying guys that are going to be productive and done it. But the Red Sox are not capable of doing that. So would I have paid Rafaela? No. Would I have paid Bello? No. Would I have paid, or I know we talked about Abreu? No. Anthony? Maybe. He showed it. And I still believe he's capable. I'm a little concerned that this hand issue has taken a while. But at the same time, I think he has at least the physical ability as a baseball player to earn that money.
Jules, the new
thing
guy
is ridiculous. Let's put it bluntly.
it's
ridiculous.
starting to get long in the tooth, Nick. The new guys are putting the ball in play, not striking out like Duran. That's exactly what Thayer led off with. Luke Weaver for prospects. John, your thought on Weaver? You're already looking like you smell the skunk.
We got enough former Yankees on this team. I don't need another.
Yeah. Matt says he hates Sandoval. You know,
Hey,
I hate them
Pablo.
all.
if he which one?
All of them. They all suck.
Yeah. Keep waiting for Bayo all series. I just look, if like Thayer said, if he's going to come in the second, third inning and you can get something out of the first two innings, fine. But we'll see how it goes. Betty finally says she made it. That's my fault, Betty. I said 9:00 and it was really 8:30. I tried to correct it on Twitter for you. Jules, need 2 out of 3 in the Baltimore series. You have to. Baltimore is hot. That's one of our biggest issues right now, like John said. One thing that's apparent for the trade deadline is they need a professional ball player behind the plate, and play between Narvi and Wong has been subpar. Do you want a catcher, John? Or are we good enough that we worry about another bat?
I don't think that they necessarily need a catcher.
What if Shea Langeliers is available?
That's the report
Please.
that came out today. If that bat's available, you go and get that bat. I mean that guy completely. You're asking for thump in the lineup. There it is right there.
Yeah.
Sign me up 100%. If it takes a prospect to get something, I'm game. I can't go with Wong and Navarez. I can't take it seriously anymore.
All right, back to John. What would you give up for Langeliers?
I'd assume the Athletics need pitching, so it would be some of those pitching guys in your system right now, which you have a plethora of. I don't know how much it's going to cost for a guy like that. I don't know what his contract details are either. I don't know how many more years he has of control off the top of my head, but I'd assume you're including. I hope it wouldn't take an ESN, but probably in that room of guys that you have in your top 15 on your board right now, you probably take 2 of them. Maybe if another throwing guy.
Let me get comments off here for a minute. Let's go to put this on. Oops. I had it here. I have Langeliers. There we go. Let me get Mike off there. So that's what Langeliers is doing right now. 260, 22 home runs, 821 OPS. As far as his contract,
I'm seeing it's a 1-year deal right now. Oh, wait,
he's arbitration.
1 year.
Yeah, he's arbitration eligible in 2027, but you got him under contract
as a free agent in 2029. That's what I'm looking at on my
so
screen.
you'd have him for 27 and 28.
So 2.5 years. So he'll cost a decent amount.
Yeah. So
he was a first round pick for the A's back in 2019 too.
Yeah.
And here's
Boris.
the thing, guys.
His agent is Boris. Watch out.
Breslow here.
Oh, is it really?
His agent's Boris. Say that again, Thayer. Sorry,
we're starting to sound a little bit like Breslow. We're all over the friggin' place here. I think, if you sort of sit down and look at this team, what are our biggest needs? I think the biggest need right now is a right-handed power bat. So the places you have available are left field, shortstop, catcher, and possibly DH. Right? So I think that's probably the biggest need for this team.
You could still do second base, though, Thayer.
You could, yes, absolutely we could. But
I think, not to interrupt you, but what if a third baseman was available? You could move Durbin to second.
Mm-hmm. Those are options, absolutely. But that has to do with a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
So we start to look for what's out there. We also need, I think, bullpen help. I think that's going to definitely be a thing because I still can't trust Slayton. So I need one more piece. And I think we're going to need a starting pitcher. Because like we said, there are 3 kids that are making up currently 3/5 of our rotation. And yes, Crochet will come back and hopefully Suarez comes back. But that still leaves you Crochet, Suarez, Sonny Gray, and then who? Because these kids, if you start to sit them, where you're going to sort of give one guy a chance. So maybe you're going to have 4 of them, but then you still have to deal with a Bayo, a Sandoval. So I need another starting pitcher. So now they have to prioritize that. I think the most important aspect of this whole thing is a power bat. Where are you going to put him? We've been talking a lot about these kids coming up and doing these sort of things. We're talking about Siegler providing momentum. Is he going to be able to do that? I don't know. That's a very good question. But at the same time, you have to be cognizant of how you are going to mess with this team. We're talking about we don't want to bring Mayer back because Mayer's going to mess stuff up. We don't want to bring Story back because Story's going to mess stuff up. I completely agree. But you also have to be aware of when you bring in players, what impact is that going to have on what they currently have? Right. So that's an important thing. And the other aspect, when you think about this, Siegler cannot move over to shortstop. So if you bring in that sort of second baseman, you bring in the third baseman, you still have to deal with the issue with shortstop. So I don't think Chang and I don't think Monasterio are going to be the guys that are going to do it. And if you're dealing with them, that means as a system, as a team, if Mayer comes back or Story comes back, I fear that the front office is going to say, I'm going to put that player there. So I want someone who sort of blocks that move. That's what I'm looking for. And sort of going to the chat, Jules, a couple days ago, I was sort of going through guys that I want and teams that are out of it. Schmitt with the Giants. Oh, he's the guy. He plays left field. He's a right-handed power bat. He plays a little third base. They are so out of it right now. I think you can get him at a decent price, and he can not only help you this year, but moving forward.
Jules says the Bastards went live. Are they still around? I thought they closed up shop. Anyway, catcher's a big need. Mid pen too. Let's see. Jules wants Langeliers as well. I think Michael seconds that. Jules says catcher with power. Bangaliers. You got to ask. Let's see. Smoke and mirrors from Big Papa. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Sonny's leading pitchers for the Cy Young. I mean, you got to love what you see there. There's no doubt about it. Casey Schmitt, is that you're talking about there?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's his numbers look like right now?
I got his
Pretty good.
Share my screen.
I think he's close to 20. 17 to 20 home runs, I think.
He's got 19 homers, 50, 279 batting average, a OPS of 798.
Yeah. And not only that, he can play second, third, and short, and he is a right-handed bat, which would definitely put us in there. OPS plus of 124.
And I really think he's going to cost you that much.
Hitting 327 this year against left-handed pitchers with a 853 OPS.
Wow.
I don't see him costing that much because this is right now a career year for him.
Yeah.
This would be a it would be a smaller scale move, but I could see it. I could see him fitting in here like a glove.
Big Papa says, "Oh my God, the Mayer hate is so much. We don't hate. Nobody hates anybody. He's just not good. That's all there is to it. They missed it. All right. There's a reason why he fell fourth. Okay. The first 3 picks thought something. He's a California kid. He likes to hang out. He's not taking baseball seriously.
Browski would have traded him back if he was the GM, so he shouldn't even be here.
He got his $8 or $9 million signing bonus, and he's on easy street. That's all it is. He's just not for this market. Some players just aren't. Give Story to the Mets. Are they going to want him?
A dream.
Are they going to want him? If they're going to be a rebuild, they're not going to want Trevor Story. I always support Mayer, but Cora was firm with him. Cora knew how to handle him. Anthony can be a huge fan. No Tatis. So Betty doesn't.
I don't think Cora knew how to handle him, Betty. I don't think so at all.
I don't think so. I don't think so either. They spend an awful lot of time with the ladies in clubbing. That's our biggest contention too. And of course, people on Twitter are like, what is the problem for people to have a life? No, it's not a problem for people to have a life. But you can't go out and embellishing this when your team was 7-8 games under 500.
I'm not going to go and take a picture at Fenway Park with my girl after I just got my teeth knocked in. I'm not going to do that. And that's what he did. And I got annihilated from that by some people.
Tatis is off the juice now. We're over a year too late. Yep. Jules says mid-pen, not a closer. Don't want to see Watson or Weiser. You know, the thing is, though, I don't want more of these mid-pen guys. Why can't we go out and get a stud closer and just push everybody back?
Mason Miller.
You know, we don't need to get a bona fide number 7 inning guy. John.
Real quick on Ryan Watson. I hated this guy early in the year, but credit to him in this series. Through 3 innings, very important innings that saved a lot of this bullpen that we're probably going to be seeing tomorrow because they were taxed coming into today. But 3 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk. He gave up 1 run. That was from a homer in the game yesterday. 4 strikeouts. But in his last 15 games for us, he's thrown 24 innings. Or in his last 15 appearances, 24 innings, 18 hits. It's a 3 ERA with 19 strikeouts, and he had a save that was from the game yesterday. He's been the exact like kind of long relief guy, just like like yesterday when they were down by 3 runs and he comes in. It's kind of like just like, all right, we'll see what happens type of guy. And he's we're probably gonna lose, but we'll throw him out there. And he's done his job. He's played his role very well as of late. So I'll give him credit where it's due.
Matt says, I'm hesitant to deal Arias just because we don't have any other options, really. Yeah, I don't think the Red Sox want to move him. Again, you would have
I won't even promote him.
Yeah, you would have to get an absolute stud. Hanley Ramirez 2.0. 35.
Jim, just real quick to your point and sort of the idea of going after Mason Miller. And there'll be conversations for later down the road. Miller, those kind of guys are going to be very expensive. Mm-hmm. And, we haven't been doing this yet because we expected us to be sort of the sellers, but we have to really start to evaluate what we have in our system as far as move, get players and sort of collateral and sort of things that we have to move and our needs. Mm-hmm. Do we think Mason Miller coming in here is going to make us a World Series champion? I don't. I think he'll make us much better. We could win the American League, but I still think there are some fatal flaws that are going to get us, before Mason Miller can come in and win the 9th inning for us. So we have to start to sort of think about what we have, and we'll talk, this is for later shows, what sort of opportunity do we have as a team? What are our assets that we can move, and how can we make this team better? Now, I'm always, talk about Tony Maserati. I'm always forgetting the horses. I want to get the horses. When you want the stallion, Mason Miller is a stallion. And I don't want ponies. I don't want, Durbins and Monteserios and things like that. But if I can get some pretty impressive quarter horses that can come in here and be professionals, like a right-handed bat, if say you get Schmitt, you get Weaver, and then you get a starting pitcher. I haven't even looked at it, so I'm not even going to throw out a name. But if you do that, you've improved 3 places in your team much, much better overall than I think that one spot. So that could be the difference. And you can do it at a cheaper rate and get all of them as opposed to just paying everything for Miller.
No, I totally understand what you're saying. The other thing about Miller, just to kind of put this out there, he's not a free agent until 2030. So you have a few years of control.
Oh, absolutely.
But I mean, again, if it's a multiplayer deal that you can package with San Diego, I'm gonna like it because look, Chapman, is he going to come back? Is he going to be effective next year? Do you need to move on and pass the torch to the next potential closer and do this now with not only a 26 mindset, but a 27, 28, 29 mindset?
Yep.
So we'll see how that goes. Big Papa says Seti is worth every penny. He certainly is. Matt still thinks Abreu is worth it. I don't know. If you start giving everybody money, then it's going to become very difficult to trade these guys if you do want to try to move them at some point because they're going to be attached to big money contracts and they're going to be less desirable to another team. So that's also something to consider.
And that luxury tax bill gets to where it is right now.
Sure. Weaver is a Met, makes our pen better. Schmitt, right-hand bat, plays left field as well. Seti has been terrific. John, exactly. Abreu 220 versus right-hand pitching. What happened? He agrees with you that Mayer has not proved anything. Totally agree, he hasn't. His glove is elite. There's no question. It's never been a question since the first defensive play he made last year. But offensively, I'm out already on Mayer. I don't think he's got it. This is a results-based business. Play well and go win games. So that's about all the comments we have. Pretty much going to wrap it up after this, unless anybody's got any last-minute things that they want to talk about. Or John, go ahead.
How dare you not have a piece of take?
I don't have anyone today.
Yeah, so just a couple of things that reporters brought to light during the series. Connolly Early's began throwing again over the All-Star break. Ranger Suarez, he would be in line for this second game against the Orioles. They're skipping him intentionally. And that Chad Tracy said it's kind of just to give him some extended rest. He doesn't seem like an IL candidate at this time, which is obviously great to hear. Johan Oviedo this week is going to start throwing bullpens again. That's good news, as you know, we need pitching all of a sudden. The Red Sox signed all of their top 13 draft picks, including their 9th rounder, Martin Shaler, high school guy who some people had on their top 25. I think he was a Mississippi State commit. They signed him for $1.5 million. The slot on the 9th round was $205,000. So huge signing there. A lot of guys across the league, all the hundreds of people that appear every year around the draft on Twitter that are just savants about it. We're obsessed with this pick by the Red Sox. So that's really cool. And then a little bit of light I want to shed on Andrew Monasterio. Last 15 games, he's batting .300, a 1064 OPS. He has 3 home runs in that stretch. He's been playing a pretty decent shortstop as well when he's out there. We haven't been necessarily obsessed with him at all this year, but the last 15 games on this winning streak, he's absolutely showed up when his number's been called, and just happy to see that out of him.
If he can be Eduardo Nunez, we're in good shape.
Yeah, that's a good comp.
There was another one. Don't forget the other news that came out too. Take this for whatever it's worth. Tanner Houck is throwing 2 bullpens a week right now, so he's ramping up. I'm just telling you. I'm just the messenger.
I know.
Don't start. And Cutter Crawford is throwing from 100 feet now and sucking his thumb along the way.
And Tristan Casas, he sprained his toenail.
Tristan Casas lifted up a spoon today and dug out that scoop of ice cream and licked it. That's what.
He's on solid foods already. Yeah. Okay. That being said, I'm going to wrap it up. I'll say goodbye to Thayer, Nick, and John. Thank you for joining me tonight, and thank you to all the fans and everybody that shared a comment. Go to our website at redsoxdigest.com. Make sure that you sign up and get a free subscription. If you want to donate to our cause, you can. We take $100 bills as well, so feel free to donate as much as you can, and then I will share it with the rest of the crew. Have a good night, everybody, and we will see you probably on Thursday. I will not be here on Thursday, so it's more incentive to watch. And probably Nick, I'll ask him if he wants to handle the
is there a game Thursday or no? No, that's
it's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I won't be available on Thursday, so I'm sure you'll have probably double the amount of people. Have a good night, everybody. John, you were able